How about this? Disgust. Affection. That was pleasure, but it's close enough. Close enough. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what people say and how they say it, and they will basically tell you how to treat them. I want you to make two decisions and teach your employees how to make two simple decisions about people. And I'm going to do this very quickly. Two very simple decisions. Number one, is this customer who is calling in exhibiting through their verbal and vocal behavior more open or self-contained behavior? Number two, is this customer exhibiting more direct or indirect behavior? Those are the two simple decisions I would like you to make. And by the way, they are not difficult. I will tell you the first 2, 3, 4 weeks max, you need to think about it. Now, is this person more open or more self-contained, more direct, more indirect? You need to think about it. But after about 3 or 4 weeks, it becomes natural, automatic pilot, intuitive. How do you tell the difference between somebody who is more open or self-contained? And I'm going to give you the broad description, which includes some visual. Because internally, you're going to get a lot of visual working together. Whereas on the telephone, you may only get two. Self-contained people, they tend to come across as being more guarded. In other words, they do not show or share their feelings and thoughts readily or willingly. They play their cards how? Close to the vest, hard to read. Limited, controlled, body language, facial expressions, vocal intonation. They tend to have a more steady, sometimes monotone voice. Not a lot of range or inflection. Self-contained people make decisions primarily based on what? Facts. Facts, logic, numbers, data, documentation, put it in writing, black and white. To them, they are task-oriented. They do not like a lot of chit-chat, social talk, schmoozing, whatever you want to call it. What do they want you to do? Get on with it. Get to the point. Bottom line is, hey, I don't have a lot of time. I have 10 minutes. Boom, I want the answer right away. That's what they're like. I have a friend like this who takes this to the extreme. He's not just like this in business. He's like this personally, too. He is so bottom line, so cut to the chase, so no nonsense, so cut out all the extraneous conversation. First time he called my home, and my wife answered. I really had to do a lot of explaining on this. My wife answers the phone. This guy's so bottom line. He said, Sue, Dennis, Tony. That was it. That's the way the guy is. On the other hand, we have open people. Open people readily, willingly show and share their feelings and thoughts, whether you want to know them or not. At any subject, anywhere, anytime, fair game. They tend to be more relationship-oriented, so they want a lot more social banter. They may talk about personal things in addition to the problem they're experiencing or the question that they have. You've experienced this, right? Open people have a tendency, at least conversationally, to digress a lot. Which reminds me, they do a lot of that. They jump from one thing to another to another. It's been said about open people that their thoughts are like gumballs. They just fall to the tongue and roll out. Not unusual to leave a conversation with an open person and say to yourself, wow, woo, what did we talk about? Now, they make decisions primarily based on what? Emotion, feeling, intuition, gut. And when it comes to time, what's their attitude? Hey, when I get around to it, mañana. Ladies and gentlemen, what I would like you to do is make a decision for yourself. Most of the time with most people, do you come across more self-contained or more open? And I realize all of you have the ability to be more open or self-contained, depending on the situation or the person you're dealing with. Is that right? You have that ability. That's good. That's the platinum rule. That's adaptability. That's positive. However, all of you have a home base, a comfort zone, a habitual pattern of behavior that you exhibit most of the time. What is it? Are you more open or more self-contained? Let's go to the other scale. I'll do this quicker. Direct versus indirect. Indirect people are slower paced. than direct people who are faster paced. Now, when I say slower and faster, I am talking about the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they make decisions, the way they do things in general. Indirect people, slower. Direct people, faster. Indirect people, less assertive. Direct people, more assertive. Indirect people, more patient. Direct people, impatient. Indirect people tend to ask. Direct people tend to tell. So, PJ, if you came into my office and I was indirect, I would say, PJ, would you like to have a seat? What if I'm direct? PJ, come on in, sit down. Not there, there. When it comes to risks, decisions, or change, indirect people approach all three more slowly, cautiously, methodically. Because indirect people have a tremendous inner driving need not to be wrong. Whereas direct people, risks, decisions, change, they approach all three more quickly, decisively, even spontaneously. Because their inner driving need is to accomplish and achieve as much as possible, get it over with, what's next? Indirect people focus a bit more on quality, less on quantity, do fewer things, but do them as close to 100% as possible. Direct people, their emphasis is a bit more on quantity, a bit less on quality. We got a lot to do, let's do it good enough. 98%, 97%, 99% is good enough. We don't have to get to 100%. And they drive each other crazy. Because the indirect people are slowing things down. Hey, we got to do it just right. The direct people speeding things up. Hey, it's good enough. When it comes to rules, policies, procedures, indirect people follow rules according to the letter of the law. Direct people follow rules according to the spirit of their interpretation. And you have probably found this out, especially with your employees or maybe yourself. Whenever there is a gray area in the policies, in the rules, whenever there's a gray area where it doesn't quite say whether we can or whether we can't, whether we should, whether we shouldn't, whenever there is a gray area, indirect people, before taking advantage of a gray area, will go to somebody in authority and ask permission. Can I? Can't I? Whereas the direct people, when they find a gray area, which of course they call their window of opportunity, their attitude is, I'm not going to go ask. If I ask and they tell me no, I can't do it. So what I'll do is just do it. Odds are they'll never know. Odds are they won't even care. And even if they do, even if they catch me and call me on the carpet, my motto, my philosophy is it's easier to beg forgiveness than it is to seek permission. Ladies and gentlemen, on the scale from direct to indirect, where would you put yourself most of the time with most people?
In the full-length segment, Tony goes on to explain the 4 communication styles that result from the 2 decisions he has just guided you to make when communicating with someone. He explains that there's no such thing as a good or a bad personality, they're just different. If you take the time to recognize the differences, you'll get amazing results. Tomorrow, learn how to seemingly add additional hours to each day for the things you really want to do. See you tomorrow and make it a great day.